my name is Alejandra Corona. I am a senior business consultant with JP Morgan Chase. And today I have my colleague, Benny, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you for that, Alejandra. My name is Benny Sanchez. I am the VP of Community and Business Development for JP Morgan Chase, and really excited to be here today.
Yeah, no, thank you. So today we're really excited to share with you all what we do at Chase, how we work with the community, how we work together with our business owners and our local organizations to be able to really drive impact and help educate and empower not just our business owners, but everybody that is within our communities. Benny, would you share a little bit about some of the organizations and how you've been able to partner with them and help our local communities?
Yeah, can I start by telling a little bit about my background
Of course, please.
before we go into something like that? Again, Benny Sanchez, I've been in the financial industry for about 22 years, different capacities, born and raised here locally in the Los Angeles area. So this type of work that we're doing here, that JP Morgan Chase gives us an opportunity to do, really hits home. Again, because we are from the community, because we live like in the community, because we look like the community. So it's very important, the work that we do. So in going back to your question, Alejandra, and what we do as a VP of Community and Business Development, I have the opportunity to work with nonprofit organizations, government officials, school administrators, business owners, to really complement the work that they're doing in the community as it relates to helping families, helping individuals, helping businesses create generational wealth. And the best way to do that is through two avenues. The first one is the access to the education, which is important, financial education, and we'll talk a little bit about that, what that looks like. And the second is the access to the resources and how we bring the power of JP Morgan Chase and someone like you and the work that you do in our communities and with business owners back to our efforts.
No, thank you for that. So going back to education, generational wealth, to share a little bit about myself, I have been in banking for over 20 plus years, and just like Benny mentioned, I was born and raised in East LA, and being able to really give back to our communities through education, empowerment, resources, and so many times being connectors, right? So we constantly share that business owners, they don't know what they don't know, so let us help you with resources. Let us help you connect you to others. We're big on collaboration. And so as a senior business consultant at Chase, I work on a one-on-one basis with business owners, right? We really focus and hone in on their strengths, the things that they would like to get better, more experience with, and so we will tailor a program. Again, it's a one-on-one program specially for that individual business owner. It's a 4-month program. It is a free program that is available to our businesses. So we really are proud that we're able to help them grow, empower them with knowledge, empower them with resources, right? And so today we're gonna share a little bit about that, and then also, I wanted to ask you, right, like, what would be some highlights or success stories that you would like to share from the local community, things that you've worked on recently or just in general since you've been in this role?
Yeah, thank you for that. Honestly, we work with a lot of nonprofit organizations. So it could be a large national nonprofit organization. It could be a organization that is boots in the ground, local to a specific community, whether it's South LA or East LA, like you mentioned. I have the opportunity to work with a lot of them. I currently work with about 60 nonprofit organizations. So when you think about how many those organizations
When the
are,
impact,
yeah, and the
right?
impact
Yeah.
that they're doing in the community, how do we as a financial institution create trust in our communities? And through the partnerships with a lot of these nonprofit organizations, that is where I think if I go back to your question of what does success look like and what am I most proud of, is that being out in the community, rolling up my sleeves, and being able to help in what the things that the community really needs. And that's through the work of the nonprofit organization. So.
No, I love that. I see you in action, and I love everything that you're doing and the communities that we're serving. And so, again, being today that we're focused on our small businesses and really being able to be a connector, It's both internally and externally. If they need some services or products, we're able to connect them with all the right individuals and professionals. We always, yeah, go ahead.
No, one thing that you said in the work that you do is that um, you mentor for free. And that, speaks volume, right? When you are able to mentor a local business. And another thing that I want to add is whether you're a Chase customer or not.
Exactly. I was just going to add, so you read my mind. You do not have to be a Chase client to be able to take advantage of this free coaching program. It's coaching for impact, and we really truly want to make an impact in our communities with our business owners. Just again, and I will repeat it, but just sharing the resources. They may be great doctors, they may be great plumbers, but that's what they're good at, right? We don't expect them to be experts in finances. So let us help you. And then let us help you build a team of experts that are going to help you, right? Maybe that's your business banker. It could also be insurance agent. It could be your accountant, bookkeeper, right? So you tell us, how can we help you? And then we can help you grow that, establish that. And again, also connect through networking events, because we do host networking events where we will have business workshops. And we will, just talk about different areas of business growth. And so through those networking events, free events, you're able to connect and collaborate with other business owners as well. And so again, I did say this in the beginning, we're big on collaboration.
Yeah, I really enjoy and like the partnership that we have, and the connection between personal finance that I focus on and then business finance, which is your bread and butter, right? Because when you think about credit, which is so important, and I'm looking forward to the presentation you're going to have, the workshop you're going to have later on
Yes,
today.
at 2 o'clock.
Access to capital.
Uh-huh.
That talks about, again, credit. The connections between personal credit and having that knowledge around how credit works, how to have good credit, and how that's going to help you eventually or potentially when you become a business owner, right? The collaboration or the connection between one and the other is so important. So being able to talk through that and provide that very important financial education, is one of the ways that we partner together.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And just to share a little bit about, so Benny will host workshops on personal financial literacy. And then so he and I work with organizations where maybe he talks about the personal credit workshop, and then they would like to do a business one that focuses on power of capital. And that's what we'll talk about, the importance of taking care of your personal credit to then being able to use that when you are looking for business credit. So yes, they are two separate things. They are both very important, but it's very important for business owners to understand that their personal credit will affect their business credit applications when they are ready to grow their businesses. So just being able to showcase that in our workshops, on our one mentorships, they just go really well and they work really well hand in hand. And so I think it's important when we do those series with our nonprofits to be able to share both sides, the personal and the business side.
Yeah, and if I could talk a little bit about the nonprofit work and the nonprofit organizations that we work with or associations. For example, business focus, we have the Chambers of Commerce, right? We have great relationships with the Chambers of Commerce where local businesses go to them and for the access to those resources. So there we have someone like Alejandra or myself provide these financial workshops that are so important to our community, that are so important to these business owners that are already part of an association or an organization like the Chamber of Commerce. And that's one avenue where I think we've been very strategic on how we want to continue to help our communities and our business owners.
Yeah, and again, with collaboration, I mean internally, right? We also have an amazing One Chase team. Again, when they have any kind of financial need, we can connect them. And then again, if they don't currently bank with us, we also want to help them and say, hey, we want you to go back to your banker. We want you to connect with them. Let them know, tell them your story, so that when you are looking for that access to capital, they already know you, right? The first time that you go meet a banker should not be the time that you're asking for capital. Can you? Of course, but just the experience that you're going to have when you're prepared for that conversation, and they already know your business, they understand your business, it's such a different conversation. It's such a better conversation for everyone involved.
One of the things that really hits home when you're talking, Alejandra, is being that connector, whether it's with our business owners or our community. And when you think about being that connector, one of the things that I really enjoy about the work that we do is that we don't really talk products or services. I pride myself around really bringing the power of the education, that financial education component, whether it's home lending or wealth management or business banking, whatever it is, there's an expert that JP Morgan Chase has, but just being able to build trust in the community, provide that important education, not talk about products and services, really identify what are the needs of that community, what are the needs of that business owner, and being able to, back to your point, connect them to the right expert.
Yeah, and to that point, we share so many times when people mention Chase is such a huge bank. Yes, we are a huge bank, and we pride ourselves in that. So it's a power of Chase, but then you also have the local bank feel. When you have your local bankers in your communities, they go to the schools in the communities, they live in those communities. You know, Benny and I, going back to where we grew up, it's amazing feeling to be able to give back to our communities by empowering them with knowledge. So again, please, if you haven't already, we do, whether it's Chase or another bank, but go into your local bank and make relationships, make connections, because those are going to go a long way as you continue to grow your business.
Yeah, I think that's important, that we look like the community, that we speak like the community, that we could relate to the community. One of the reasons why, this business conversation and this education is so important to me also was my father came from another country here to the United States many, many years ago. He came from Mexico. And he had a great business idea, right? Today, 25 years later, that business is no longer here. And it wasn't because my dad didn't have a great idea, or it wasn't because my dad didn't have the work ethic. It wasn't because my dad, again, didn't work hard. Honestly, it had to do with the lack of information, his knowledge, the lack of resources. And the work that you do, being able to mentor these businesses on a one-to-one basis and provide that education, provide that guidance, provide that expertise, provide that connector, provide those resources that are so important today for our businesses to be successful, just really says a lot about the work that you do. So again, thank you for that.
No, thank you for that. And on that point, we do offer these services, English, Spanish. The workshops are also English and Spanish. And so we really are trying to tap into everyone that needs the resources. I'm sure your father's business could have thrived if he might have just had somebody that could have showed him, just make it a little bit easier, like make the path of being an entrepreneur a little bit easier. We all know being an entrepreneur is hard. You wear so many different hats. And so we always say, don't do it in a silo. You don't have to do it alone, because many times it can feel very lonely to be a business owner. And so building that team, connecting with we have senior business consultants across the country. And so taking advantage of those services, I've just seen the power of just information really making a drastic impact in somebody's business, just from a small access to capital line or loan, or maybe certifications, like minority business entrepreneur certifications, women business entrepreneur certifications. There are a plethora of certifications, but those can also be avenues, a different way for us to tap into possible contracts. So there are just different ways where we can help put them on that path, maybe connect them to someone where now they have opportunities they didn't even realize were available. And so that's really the power of what we're trying to do.
And I know you're going to be talking about access to capital in a little bit on your workshop, but can you maybe elaborate a little bit more on how you help businesses with those certifications? And the reason why is because as we think about our future, especially here in LA County, the United States, right? The Olympics are coming, the World Cup is coming. So many opportunities for businesses to really engage and get that certification that will allow them to just continue to thrive, right? So can you maybe explain a little bit about how you help those businesses with those certifications?
Yeah, absolutely. So great question. So one of the ways we help them is really, so again, we do not do things for our entrepreneurs. We want to be able to help educate them and then put them on the right track, make it easier for them, show them the way. And so then we can help guide them as to how they go about applying for these certifications, right? So walk them through the process. And then we're able to also connect them with other organizations. Also, there there's a lot of different websites where they can go and register. And so they can register their business, they can add their NICS codes, which are their industry code. And so they can say, please notify me of opportunities within this industry. And now there's also websites for specifically for contracts for the Olympics, right? Or contracts with the city or the state. So depending on the type of industry you have, you'll know whether, and you'll want to do your research and do I want to work with certain entities, certain industries, private, public, right? And so based on that information, then we can guide you as to, you might want to check out this site, you want to register there. Again, we can connect them with people that can help them when it comes to capability statements. So we also like to share, when you get certifications, it doesn't automatically mean you're now going to be getting a ton of contracts. Like, hey, Benny, you got certified yesterday, now here's a list of contracts, right? I always compare it to like getting a diploma, like if you get a college degree. Well, that now allows you to possibly apply for jobs that you may not have been able to because it required a certificate.
It opens the doors.
Absolutely, absolutely, but you still have to do the work. So once you're certified, then we have to network, we have to connect with people. You have to look for those opportunities. You have to apply for the opportunities. So again, it's just an additional benefit to then be able to tap into certain opportunities you may not have been able to. Because you do not need a certification to apply for contracts in general, but some of them you do. And so that's just an additional benefit to your point.
Now, I know we're here in LA County, right? But when I think about the work that we do, we are throughout our nation, right? So there's 150 individuals like me that are doing the work throughout the United States for JP Morgan Chase. There's 35 of us in the state of California that are doing the work. Here locally in LA County, there's 6 of us because LA County is so large. Can you tell us a little bit about the senior business consultant role and how many of you and what area do you cover?
Yeah, so across the country, we have about 60 across the country. And so to your point, we have 6 and growing in LA alone. And again, that's because it's such a huge market. There's so much opportunity. And there's so many business owners that we can help. So constantly growing. I mean, we're hiring all the time and just being able to help and tap into more business owners that can really benefit from these free services.
Thank you for that. One of the things that I really like to highlight when I'm talking to business owners or when I'm talking to these organizations that have that focus on businesses is that one-to-one mentorship that you talked about. Can you tell us maybe a little bit about how that looks like? If I'm a business owner, right, that maybe has been in business 2-3 years, ready for that next step, but don't really know how to get there, don't really know who to go to. What does that look like in that engagement with you? How does that initial contact look like, and how are you gonna help me get to that next level?
Yeah, no, so I love that question. Now that I've been doing this role for a minute, I do get a lot of client referrals, right? So you have to talk to Alejandra, she's helped my business, and so those are really the best referrals. But the way that what it would look like would be, our initial meeting would be, if you heard of it, it's a SWOT analysis. So we focus on going over your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so once I really understand your industry, I want to know about you, right? Like, what makes you such a great business owner? What makes you the right person to lead this business? Then I want to learn about the 4 areas that I talked about. Once we talk about those 4 areas, then we will uncover out of the 5 key areas that we focus on, because through our Coaching for Impact program, we focus on business development, building a team of trusted advisors, right? Access to capital, operations management, and also just operations and cash flow management. So out of those 5 areas, our mentees and our business owners will choose 2. And so then I will after our initial conversation, where I get a really deep dive understanding of your business, then I will tailor a program for about 4 months where we will focus on those 2 key areas to either, right, connect you to somebody that you need to be connected with, maybe working on, a lot of people want to understand financials. A lot of people don't know how to read their business tax return. They may just sign it but didn't really review because they didn't know what to look for. Maybe they don't understand balance sheet income statement. So maybe it's, hey, I really want to spend some time understanding financials. I want to know my numbers. And so again, whatever their goal is, then I will tailor that program. And to your point, the beauty of this program is that it's really one-on-one, where it's focused solely on your business. We partner with a lot of businesses that do cohort model, which is a great model. And that's great. Sometimes they'll do our one-on-one, then they'll join a cohort, or they'll have a cohort and then they'll join our one-on-one mentorship. And so the more education, the more resources that they tap into, the better. But that does set us aside from other programs where it is truly a one-on-one coaching for impact program.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's so important to really understand. Again, we talk about the one-on-one mentorship program, but being able to, again, hear your explanation really helps with understanding what the program is all about. Now, you also talked about being a connector, and there might be a business owner that is not loanable, or maybe is not ready to take out a loan at a large financial institution, right, like J.P. Morgan Chase. Can you talk to us a little bit about, your connector abilities or those relationships that you have with organizations like CDFIs, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so our CDFIs are what you call community development financial institutions. And to your point, sometimes certain business owners, for whatever reasons, right, like when you go through credit underwriting, whatever the reason may be, may not be able to get approved through a large financial institution. So then these community organizations will have different programs, different criteria. And so it's always nice, to be able to have those available where you can give them options, right? So instead of saying no, we can say, hey, maybe not today, but let's give you options where you may be able to get access to capital, may be able to help your business grow, and then let's still work together because we want them to understand, right? Okay, if you didn't get it today, why? And then let's work on that so that eventually you are able to come back to that financial institution and refinance the loan or maybe expand on that loan. Banks love to lend for expansion, for growth. So there's just different ways, again, where tapping into resources really helps be able to guide that person into continuing to grow their business.
I really like that because, again, I remember, or it reminds me of the conversations that I have with individuals on the personal side, and specifically around credit, right? Credit is one of those topics where a lot of the times we don't understand credit, and that's why we are in a particular situation. But it's not a one and done, right? So it's, if you don't have an approval today, what can we do? First, provide that education, assist one of our workshops that are completely free, get the education. What does credit really mean? How do you navigate through credit to help you with your financial journey? What are the factors that determine a good FICO score? And what is a plan that you could do today to help you continue to get better, right? Not where today maybe you're not approved, or maybe you're approved at an interest rate that you don't feel comfortable with, right, with your financial situation. But the proper steps that you take will get you to where you want to be. And I think that aligns as well with what you were talking about.
Yeah, again, right? If it's the answer is no today, it doesn't mean it's no forever. So let's really get you on that path to achieve your goals, to continue to grow in whichever avenue you would like to grow in. And so, I think with that, really, like, we're really honing in on just community impact, resources, connections, collaborations. We really want to push on, sometimes business owners think because they're in the same industry, they can't work together. And so we've seen so much success from collaboration, and so that's why I keep honing in on that word. But I've seen the success that comes from it when it comes to working with colleagues, but also with our business owners that we do work with and that we coach. And so I hope that, if anything, you can take that, from today's presentation. But we would love to open it up for questions if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, we would love to open it up for any questions. I see the mic coming over, so if you have a question, we would be happy to answer it.
Thank you guys. Great job, and love what you guys are doing for the community. I just have a more basic question. And not basic, I guess this be more for folks to understand. How do you get the funding to give the loans to the community?
Okay. Do you want me to take that? Or? So in terms of funding, J.P. Morgan Chase is very strategic on how they go about things. So about 4 years ago, our CEO, Jamie Dimon, announced a racial equity commitment. And what that meant is a $30 billion commitment to advance racial equity in our underserved, underrepresented communities. And when we think about the coverage that we have here in LA County, a lot of those communities that have been marginalized or have been underrepresented, underserved for many years, we have a focus to really spend not only our energy, time, efforts, but also funds to be able to provide for the needs of those communities. So when you think about, great question, by the way, when you think about how do we fund those, where do we get those, that access or those monies, it's through a very strategic plan on our racial equity commitment and that those funds are coming from. But great question. Any other questions that we might have? While we let the audience maybe think about any additional questions, I know we are coming close to time, Alejandra. Any last remarks that you would like to share with the audience and people here today?
I mean, I think that through doing this work, what really comes to mind is, you know, entrepreneurs they don't know what they don't know. And so please ask questions. Please don't be shy to go into your local bank, introduce yourself, tell them about your business, right? If you currently bank at a financial institution and you don't have a business banker, it's so, so important that you do build that relationship, right? So if they're not calling you, there is nothing wrong with you going in there, introducing yourself, because it's important to you and your business growth. So I would say that be curious, ask questions, and there are always options. And so please feel free to reach out to any of your local Chase representatives if you currently don't bank elsewhere. They would be more than happy to help.
Yeah, no, I think it's important, right? Those experts. When I think about if I feel that I'm getting sick, I'm gonna go to the doctor, right?
Yeah.
If my car is having some car trouble, I'm gonna go to the mechanic. Why? Because they are certified experts in an area that I am not very knowledgeable. So when we think about our local business owners, when I think about, you know, personal finance and continue to learn and ask those questions and be curious, like you indicated, is going into and walking into, you know, these financial institutions where there's experts there that are very knowledgeable. But I think one of the most important things that you mentioned before is also that relationship, that trusted advisor, because I trust my doctor, I trust my mechanic, I also trust my financial advisor. I also trust my banker. And that has to do with the relationship that I build. So if you haven't walked into a financial institution, if you haven't talked to an expert to make that SWOT analysis that Alejandra talked about in your business, it's important for you to do so and walk into these, you know, these financial institutions like Chase and be able to ask those questions.
Yeah. No, thank you so much.
Any last questions that we have from the group?
All right, well, we would like to thank everybody for being here today. Thank you so much for your time. And we also welcome you to join us at our Access to Capital workshop that we will have upstairs at 2 o'clock. Thank you so much, Benny.
Thank you.